Friends, I'd like to introduce you to one of the instruments of all time, with a long and storied history of summoning the monastics to prayer in Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, and Eastern Catholic monasteries. This instrument of many names is known by many names. Semantron, Simantra, Semandron, Semantarium, Xylon, and Talanto, and a lot in other languages I can't really read or pronounce. These are all names for one real instrument. The Semantron is a percussion instrument that comes in three varieties: fixed metal, fixed wood, and portable wooden. This is a portable wooden-made Semantron. Witness the beauty, the genius, the complexity. Yeah, this is a 2x4. I kind of cut up a little bit. This is, all jokes aside, this is probably one of the single most accessible percussion instruments I've ever seen. Hell, I built two of them for like $10 with a handsaw. And there's music for this thing. Written for by modern classical composers such as Ioannis Kexnakis, Michael Gordon, and... No way. This is... James Wood. Amazing. Sensational. You're telling me James Wood wrote music for... wrote music for 2x4. I need a minute. I need a minute. So, you're probably wondering, what does this thing sound like? And I'll show you. Let's take you to the second camera. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the long-fabled second camera. Bringing you a whole new look at things, a whole new lease on life, a whole new look at the back wall of my bedroom. Today I have for you two Semantras, which is why I felt this momentous occasion must come to pass, where I introduce you to a second angle. We have here the first one I made. This is a 2x4 with some handhelds cut in the middle, and I kind of rounded off the edges a little bit. As you can see, complexity beyond compare. This is the second one I made. There is a handhold cut out of it, and I cut the end off a little bit. So two different versions, two different concepts, and hopefully two different sounds, which was the point of this experiment originally. So, we'll start with the test of number one. I have a variety of objects here that I'm going to hit this 2x4 with, for your listening pleasure. We have, I'm going to introduce you to all of them, a rubber mallet, a wooden mallet that I built, an in-process clave that I'm also building, and a drumstick. Now, composers and teachers listening to this, there are many other things you can hit things with, so do not feel limited to these four objects I'm showing you today. In fact, you might actually find a good wooden mallet and test that with your own custom-built Semantras. So let's get right into it, shall we? Wooden Simantra, rubber mallet. Fascinating. For comparison, a very shoddily built wooden mallet. An incomplete clave. Sensational. Now, last but not least, the singular drumstick. Now, we could go a little further I do not have a stand with me, but if you watch the video I've included after of Mike Gordon's timbre, you'll notice that they have these Semantras mounted on some kind of stand that I know the word for and cannot remember at this moment. But that way they could double fist it, as they say.
How do you do, fellow kids?
For example, and of course there are other options, ways to use these. But that's just a short example for you. And we'll now compare that to the second version of the Simantra. We'll go in reverse order this time. Well, for a mount, as you cannot see below my right here level, my waist, I am resting this on my leg because I have nothing but the best in technology that I can afford through my budget. Noticeably a higher pitch, I can already tell that. Now these are two different types of wood. But clave. The wooden mallet. And finally, last but not least, the rubber mallet. And now, for the true test. Two Semantras. I'm just going to slap them against each other because I figured this would be funny. And it kind of is. It kind of is. I don't know if you can hear through this mic setup, but there's a resonance to this. It's actually really interesting. I'm going to look into that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this section and the introduction of the second camera angle. I'll be sending you back to the original camera angle now because better mic setup over there. I'm using a stereo pair over here that is slightly higher and speaking into a second camera. But yes, I'll see you back in the original format. So, that was the Simantra. Below I'll have included some links to Performance of Timber by Michael Gordon, which is the piece that introduced me to this wonderful, unique instrument, as well as a link to Gordon's website, and the purchase page, which has a perusal score, and several other random things that I found while researching this video. I do hope I've given you a new instrument to think about. For composers, maybe this is the kind of sound you need, and you can add your list to that. You can add your name to that list of illustrious composers, though your name will probably not be as funny as James Wood for writing for 2x4s. You know, for some schools, this could be the kind of thing you need to offset a smaller budget. I can give several examples, but I know several instances of directors that have struck up a relationship with their tech ed and woodshop teacher peers, and that's a really easy way to get some easier, simpler instruments like this built. You know, this is a 2x4 I cut handholds into, and I curve the top of one of them. You know, there are several others I hope to talk about that are pretty simple to make if you've got a basic understanding of simple woodworking, and for tech ed kids, maybe that's an interesting project that their teachers might help them with. You know, like we did a wind band performance recently of This Is Most Certainly True by James Stephenson, not too long ago, and it just requires this large hammer-on-door sound. So our technical director at our college basically just built us a giant box and a really big mallet that we beat the ever-living daylights out of for the piece. And it was really good and probably a lot cheaper than other options. So, you know, these kind of collaborations are a good way to save money while expanding your instrumental range, at least in the percussion section. And I think for that it's a rather unique instrument to talk about. But regardless, I hope I've taught you something new today and that you enjoyed. And that's all. So thanks. I'll see you next time.